r/AskReddit. What is something you quit as a kid and now wish you continued? Track and field. I found out later in life that I love running. Reading books. I would get so absorbed into them, and I was doing well in school due to it. I regret stopping it. Drawing. Staying in shape. Piano. I'm competent at other instruments, but I wish I had kept up with it. So versatile. I used to write stories constantly. I got discouraged when a family member I looked up to told me they were silly and no one would ever buy them. When I was a kid, all I wanted to be was an author. Now I'm 40 and have had writer's block for decades. Edit. You all are an encouraging bunch. Thank you. Sincerely. And for those struggling along with me, I know it's not easy. I hope we all succeed in getting that magic back. Ballet. It was a good form of exercise. Girl Scouts. It might have taught me to better manage my anger issues. Ice skating. Again. Good exercise. Saxophone. It was a cool instrument. Being confident. As a child, I had my head held high and cannot be bullied by anyone because I was so comfortable and acceptable of myself. Current me is so marred with teenage emotional scars and issues that I can barely see my younger self in me anymore. Edit. I have struck a chord to a lot of people. Sorry for calling you out with this lol. But on a serious note, thank you for the encouragement and kind words. I'm in a way better place compared to 10 to 12 years ago. I hope everyone also gets the closure we deserve. If not, I hope everyone knows that they are not alone in the journey. Swimming. My mom took me out as soon as I was puberty aged because she doesn't know how tampons work and honestly she's a little afraid of them, but I miss being in the water. Collecting coins. Nowadays I'm back to it though, but I wish I had accumulated them through the years. Reading full books in a day. Drawing comics. I was quite good at it until I got sad. I used to stream in the early days of Twitch and got around 20 to 30 viewers. Always wondered where I would be if I didn't stop. Trying to make as much money as possible. I quit doing it for my sanity when I became an adult. Now I have no money and no sanity. Ice hockey. Dungeons and Dragons. As an older male we don't have any friends really, so it's kinda impossible. Taking care of my teeth. I neglected my dental health a lot during my childhood/teenage years, and as an adult I very much regret it. Playing basketball. Guitar. I put it down after a decade of playing, wasn't a kid, and now I suck at it. Boy Scouts. Saying no. Apparently I was quite an obstructive child who made every task very difficult. Never a fussy eater, but doing things with me was generally a battle of wills, I'm told. Now in my late 30s and with kids, I find I no longer say no when people ask something of me. It doesn't hurt me in my personal life because the people I help have earned the support. I'm constantly getting burned in my professional life though as I watch others reap the rewards of the results of my effort. Giving a shit about what people think of me. Can't stop caring off others' perspective of me anymore. And I literally preach self-love, yet I struggle to love myself. I quit singing and voice lessons because my choir teacher was blatantly playing favorites and it was starting to make me depressed. People in my class who sat through my auditions and even one of the girls from the group I auditioned for would compliment me on my voice, but I never got picked for anything. My voice coach, that my teacher suggested I go see, tried to keep me from quitting, but after auditioning for things for all 4 years in high school and getting rejected over and over I just didn't have it in me anymore. Not being socially awkward. Being happy. Dancing and vaulting. I took piano lessons from 6 years old until I was about 13. Then I just sort of stopped. I didn't plan it, just got busy with other things. I used to be able to play some cool pieces from memory, now pretty sure I would struggle through chopsticks. Singing. I have good tone, and in the 7th grade hit low notes and high notes easily for my choir audition/test, with no training. Studying Russian. I was taught both languages from birth. because my father was raised in Moscow, but I stopped using it as frequently when I was about 7 or 8. I can still make basic conversation and do just fine, but I struggle with grammar because I didn't pick it up again until sophomore year of high school. Collecting stuff. I used to collect random shiny/rusted objects that I found on road or a garage. I stopped collecting stuff when I went to college, but I restarted last year. However, my collection is quite small. I wonder what cool things I could have collected if I had continued. Going outside, eating healthy. Dancing. I had really good abs when I did it, even though I hated it. I like to think it would have grown on me. Edit. Just thought of this. But also piano. I was really good for my age and it definitely could have gotten me far. I just got bored of it, I guess. And I also didn't have time to balance practicing it in my sport. I play another instrument, but I'm not nearly as good considering my age. Drawing. Since I was pretty good for my age and drew all the time, but I quit because I found out I was colorblind. Skateboarding. I practiced 2 hours every day on the kickflip and ollie for weeks, and despite getting better and almost accomplishing a kickflip, I quit. Many years later I found out the board I used was heavy board that was mainly used for transportation, not tricks. Sports overall. Because I was shy. Now I'm shy and weak, so Taekwondo. I was at my most flexible then, and have suffered from extreme inflexibility ever since I stopped. The plans for my Lego animatronic Angry Bad Transformers. Writing. I was always writing stories and silly songs, but now I feel like I lost my creativity. Piano and Spanish lessons. Playing. I'd love to be able to play those stories again. I used to ride horses really well. I was very natural on horseback, and it was really the only sport I was ever any good at. But it's very much a rich person's hobby, so I just couldn't afford it as I got older. I'm thinking about going back to it though. There's a place near me that teaches horseback archery and that just seems like the coolest hobby in the world. Animating. It was so exhilarating when watching the end product and making my family watch it too. So many inspiring YouTuber animators. Anyone remember Thaklif series? Alan Becker? Hi and Ojo. One day I spent a little too much time on the family computer and I was scolded for wasting my time on animating instead of studying. I compared the YouTuber's animation to mine and thought, what's the point anyways, I'll never get that good. I cried and raged like a baby and stopped animating cold turkey. I'm not animating today because I'm older and tbh I'm fear returning to it. BC it's so daunting, but I'll never forget those 1x1 frames and watching tutorials from guys animating on Stigs. I'm done now, a lot and a little sad. Not having as much social anxiety and having a good sense of humor. My imagination. Friends. The people. Not the TV show. Martial arts. Family couldn't afford it though. I was fairly social up until 6th grade. Then I got super shy. Now I'm a miserable 33-year-old with a job that doesn't pay a living wage, despite being the best employee there and other people getting great raises and never having had any relationship. Drawing/art in general. I had a horrible art teacher who killed it for me, and it's been hard to get back into. Really just exercising. Man, I wish I wasn't discouraged to do that. Making elaborate stone estates for daddy long legs, slugs, potato bugs, and spiders. Also dressing the cats in doll clothes was enjoyable. Me, a 13-year on Reddit, learning from others' bad decisions. Yes. Guitar lessons. I quit because I was having classic guitar lessons and I wanted electric guitar. Now I like the sound of both and have a little regret for not keep playing it. I used to write poetry in elementary school. Looking back, my poems could have taken me places. I had a whole collection and would always receive praise for them. Writing also came easy to me back then. I also daydreamed often, thinking up storylines for animated movies I wanted to one day create, even though I didn't have any technical experience or idea of how I would execute my visions. Honestly, I wish I kept those impulses to create, whether it be writing or drawing. Playing bassoon. I played for 2 years in middle school. The scholarships I missed out on. It's a beautiful instrument, and with quarantine, looked back into picking it up again. But even a used one would cost thousands of dollars. Not to mention, lessons hard to come by where I live. Maybe one day. Hip hop beat making. Smoking. Now I've got to get creative to kill myself. Swimming. I started at 5. When I was 8 I was moved to the competitive team. At 11 I would practice 5 times a week and teach other swim classes. I was even the youngest coach ever in our team's history. At 12 I entered my first national championship and came 3rd. Next year I came 2nd in 200 meter butterfly and 3rd in 400 meter crawl. At this point I had collected close to 150 medals of top 3 placements. I had even got some free swimwear from Arena as a sponsor gift. The year after that we got a new swim coach. I fking hated her. She was preaching collective punishments and would make the whole team do sit-ups, push-ups, lunges, etc. If just one lazy would touch the bottom or resting too long at the ends. Even if she was thinking we were talking too much. I quit the same year and never really started again. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd continued. Horseback riding. When I was young I rode English equestrian and was very good at it, regularly competing outside my age group and beating people older. I multiple times finished 3rd in the state for cumulative season points. I stopped around age 13 because I was the only boy still doing it and got very self-conscious that only girls were supposed to like horses. There was a girl who I practiced with for years and with whom I was very equally skilled. She and I always went back and forth who won the blue ribbon and who won the red. Well, years later my grandmother tells me that girl had just competed in the world championships in Louisville. I always wonder if I would have gotten to that same level with her. Playing all the instruments I had readily available to me. The drums, the piano, and the guitar. I thought I was being forced to go to lessons, so I wasn't into it. I'm 21 now and wish I had a different perspective back then. Now I realize it's an art form you learn the basics of and master on your own and really get into it and actually create something of your own that you put out into the world. But as a kid it just felt like homework almost, which is the complete opposite of what it is. Now I have no instruments available to me and no money to buy one. Life is sad. Playing instruments. I miss violin and guitar every once in a while, but can never convince myself to pick it back up. My violin. Piano lessons. No doubt. I was the kind of kid who'd try out a hobby or activity, only to drop it after a few weeks, because it cut into my cartoon/gaming time. Out of everything I ever dropped, piano has always been my biggest regret. Band, D&D, drawing, swimming. Got so much random shit. I wanted to be an astronaut since probably kindergarten. I obsessed and fanboyed about it through high school. My plan was to go to the Air Force Academy, become a pilot, become an astronaut. My eyesight didn't meet Air Force pilot requirements, but it did for Marine pilot requirements. So I turned my attention to the Naval Academy. I went for a 2-week camp there and loved it. I started the process. I needed 2 congressional nominations. I only got 1. I gave up and went to regular college instead. I should have just enlisted and worked my way up. I'm still obsessed with space exploration and would sign up to go to Mars in a heartbeat. I was placed in the gifted class in 4th grade. Only a few days into it, the teacher gave us math problems that normally weren't taught until 6th grade at my school. The other kids had been in the class longer than me and had already learned it. Nobody bothered to explain it to me. I thought I was stupid for not inherently knowing it without being taught. I begged my mom to let me drop out, instead of explaining that the other kids had had to learn it at some point, and that I was capable of learning it too, and was allowed to ask the teacher for help. My mom yelled at me for giving up on everything. I wish she'd made me stay in the class. Not so much as a kid, but MTG. I played in some small tournaments in Modern and did well. Game is one of the best card games ever made in my opinion. Chinese school and piano. Just like my mom said I would. Dogecoin. I had a few mined when I was in my early teens, and it was new. That wallet was worth 5 mil about a year ago. Really wish I hadn't wiped that HDD. Sports and being a kid. I feel like I rushed cause I wanted to be an adult. Learning the cello and the piano. I wish I had stuck with it. It's important to at least know how to play at least one instrument well. Reading. I think it was mostly for escapism at the time. But there are so many books I have now that I wish I could just inhale like I did when I was 9 or 10. Violin. Trying. Having hope. Piano. Lego. I miss them. But damn it's pricey. My PE teacher introduced us to dance in the 6th grade. I was very invested in it, and at the end of the deadline, we were supposed to have a full dance, and the class would take turns to perform in front of everyone. My partner and I did so well that my teacher, on the spot, had us do another. She was pretty proud. I was too. And my older sister was even trying to arrange for me to meet with a teacher that taught dance at her middle school, but my mom homeschooled me before I got that far. I now don't have an athletic bone in me, and watching people dance makes me happy and yet depressed. I miss being a narcissistic kid. Knowing how I'm today, I would much better reject help, because I have a huge ego, instead of rejecting help, because I think I will just hold everyone back. I used to be a human anatomy freak and I cared for carnivorous plants a lot. I guess it wouldn't hurt to rediscover the better parts of my childhood. I used to do a lot of things. I played camogie, Gaelic football, basketball and volleyball. I also ran and cycled quite a lot. I quit because I got so self-conscious and anxious that I just couldn't go. It got to the point recently where I didn't leave my bed except for school. And add that it was a struggle. I have now got time to focus on me, and I go out more, like to the shop, but it's progress, and I wish I had the sports again. Bass guitar doesn't get me out and about.